This program is produced by Eagle Mountain Apostolic Resource Center. To find additional episodes of this program, as well as other content, visit eaglemountain.tv.
God notices you. Let me just say that. Your audience of one is the Lord. I love camaraderie. I love the high fives. But there were times when I would do something great out on the field and nobody saw it. And if I lived and died by those high fives, if I lived by them, I would die by them.
This program is about stewarding the word God has given. It's about putting apostolic feet to prophetic hope. It's our mission to purposefully equip the world to transform their regions with God's love. We want to create an atmosphere of divine influence to the nations by walking in the power of His Holy Spirit with a faith that shapes the future. Welcome to Inside the Ark.
Everyone, welcome to Inside the Ark. Thanks for joining us. I've got Prudence with me, Behnke with me. I've got Miss Becky with me.
Hello, hello.
How we doing?
Doing good. How are you
Wonderful.
guys?
Everybody?
Doing wonderful.
Good.
Awesome. And we've got you with us. So thanks for being with us from the top. We want to say we're going to cover some of the revelations and messages that God's been giving us around here, but we're going to do it in a short, succinct time. So we want to make sure that you know the full message link is in the show notes. So if this inspires you to go watch it, then do so. Also, you can go to our website and check out some of the other episodes and give to our ministry there and just help us support, get these messages out wherever we want to send them, and they get to go global, as you know. So thank you so much for your help. We're going to dive into a topic today called the need to be seen. I know nobody has the need to be seen, so you could just, send this to somebody that it applies to. And
it's one of those elbow messages.
Yes,
where people are getting bruised in their rib.
This will give you enough information to help your friends out.
Right.
And so we're going to dive into it. We're going to talk about the biblical precedent for it, and then how to walk out of it and find out what your favor is actually for. So let's start with the topic sentence. We live before an audience of one, so we can shine before all men. I mean, that's massive. We live before an audience of one, so we can shine before all men. Our intimacy with God is the best form of love and power evangelism. So let's jump in. What do you guys think about living before an audience of one? And I think I could set it up this way. There was a concert pianist. He had learned under a mentor and was giving now in a concert with a massive symphony in a 3-tier auditorium, tons of people there, and he gets 3 standing O's at the end of the whole concert. And so the news was there. They knew he was going to slay it, and he did. And so they were like, how did it go? I mean, you got 3 standing O's. The last person that got that in this concert hall was so-and-so back in, 19 whatever. And so they were going after that. And he said, well, I loved the people and I loved the support that I felt. He said, but what impressed me the most was when seeing that balcony right there, 2nd tier, that's where my mentor was standing. And I noticed him out of all the people. And he just gave me one clap. And I just, bravo. And I just knew. And he goes, so that was my favorite because I got his nod.
So all the people didn't matter like the one mattered.
How do we live before an audience of one?
Wow. That's good.
Let's talk about that.
Well, let's talk about what it is. When you talk about the need to be seen, I always think about the search for significance.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
And, I sometimes think that the devil piggybacks on processes of God in our lives to make us feel shameful that we are going through a process. And one of those processes that I believe is really truly from God is that search for significance, because he didn't start out going, hey, go ahead and do the search for significance. But what he's doing is when we are saved, we're coming out of an orphan mindset or an orphan spirit. Even if you have the greatest mom and dad, doesn't matter. There's a mentality and a a process that God takes us through, so that our search for significance ends in Him.
Right.
And He's that mentor, that one. And so, but if the piggybacking of the devil is on that, then it's almost like it's shameful. It's shameful for the need to be seen. It's shameful for the need for, the search for significance to happen. And so I just want to leave that out on the table and kind of say, let's just crumble that up,
work together,
throw that away. Let's not be embarrassed that, we've needed to be seen in our lives before. Let's not be embarrassed that we've needed to have that process of the search for significance, because everything points us and can point us to Jesus if we embrace the process that God's taking us through. So God is definitely going to take us through this growing into being seen by Him.
Yeah.
And so I think it's, if it's a process that we all have to go through, does it, how long does that process take? I think it varies between the different people, and how they're made up, how God makes each one of us individually. And so I just wanted to throw that out there first and foremost. Good. If you guys are listening, just take off that thing of, oh my goodness, this is shameful, or the insecurity of maybe not knowing that you're actually functioning in that right now. So maybe this is the first time you're hearing it, and maybe you're going to find yourself going, oh, that's me. I'm still trying to figure out my significance. I'm still trying to figure out my identity.
Right.
And I do it through needing to be seen, kind of thing.
Right.
Now, there are some people who shy away from it. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Looks different on the outside.
Looks different on the outside, but it's the same thing.
What do y'all think?
Sure.
Well, I think that this is something that would probably, depending on what level of maturity that we're going into, it's always switching gears to come into staying focused on pleasing God. Because if we can please God, then the love that comes from that automatically shifts into loving people well. But if we're hung up on the needing to be seen by man first, then we run into a lot of trouble, because you just can't, it just is a catastrophe all around. But I think that there is, starting right from child age on up, we have kids and we want them to come into their own faith. We don't want them to hang off of ours they have to develop their own faith in order to move into different levels of maturity. And when they leave us or we're gone, it stands. So it's peeling off, the fear of man, and believing that what the human beings around us think is more important than what God thinks about us is really tough to do. And so I don't know if this is making any sense.
Oh, it is. It is. Yep. We all struggle with that to some degree.
But just really understanding and valuing that we are seen by God no matter what just puts us in a state of confidence, I would say.
Yes.
It just gives us a confidence that we don't really need somebody to tell us that we're all that in a bag of chips.
Right.
Because this opinion over here is the only one that matters. So, but unfortunately, sometimes we fall back and forth, and especially if it's something new that we're looking at doing, or it's like complete new experiences. Okay, well, I can't care. I cannot care what a human thinks about me at this moment. Is only what God thinks.
Yeah.
And that takes away so much fear of what you're attempting to do.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Chris, Becky, comment on it.
Well, I think that like so many things, we have to be really careful to have the right balance. We can always find what the right balance is with through making sure Jesus is the objective. Because on the one hand, some people will hear this and go, well, one thing's for sure, I have no desire to be seen.
Right.
So this doesn't apply to me,
Right.
which you alluded to at the beginning. It's actually the same issue, flip side. So that's not really the thing. And then some people will say, this is great news because I really hate giving people compliments. And so if you feel appreciated and don't feel appreciated, like that affects people. So it's important to have the freedom to tell people that you appreciate them when they speak things. Mm-hmm. And it's important it's okay to feel appreciated. Mm-hmm. So all of that, the enemy's going to use as a distraction here and there from the real issue we're talking about, which is why do we need to be seen? Mm-hmm. If we need to be seen because God has commanded us to go on the stage, even though we don't want to, but we do anyway, that's important. And it's okay for people to say you did a good job and for you to feel good that you did a good job and to appreciate someone appreciating you. Mm-hmm. All of that can be a distraction from the purpose behind it. And I think that's where you get tripped up. And that's why someone that wants to not be seen is actually the same issue, because it's still not putting Jesus in the right position. What do you think about that, Bobby?
Yeah, I think it's still you not being seen. It's still you controlling.
It's still you.
Yeah, right. And it's still you being seen. You're just refusing not to be seen. But it's still, right. It's the trap. It's right. The total trap. I think too that as we, I grew up in sports. I played every sport all my life growing up, and there is the high five. There is a team camaraderie that happens when you execute, and at the end you get to celebrate with each other. That's amazing. There are moments I've been in the huddle and I knew I was the best man for the job and the ball wasn't coming to me. And we needed to score and I knew I could get us there. And the call was made, Bobby's not getting the ball. It was someone else. And sometimes that worked and they got in, and sometimes it didn't work and we lost the game. And so how my attitude goes is going to be completely dependent on whether I need to be seen. And those are moments in life that you want to have throughout life. And if you didn't get those, then God is challenging you still today. And we all are being challenged today. How much do I need to be seen? Some people need to be seen for being different. They won't flow with the crowd, and they need to be seen for being unique. Some are bashful and they need everyone to know that they're bashful. Mm-hmm. It's still a need to be seen. Some don't want any part. They sort of drift on the outside and all of that. It's still a search and a cry for someone notice me, even notice my difference. And God notices you. Let me just say that your audience of one is the Lord. I love camaraderie. I love the high fives, but there were times when I would do something great out on the field and nobody saw it. Mm-hmm. And if I lived and died by those high fives, if I lived by them, I would die by them.
Yeah.
If I didn't get them. Sometimes my coach didn't notice something. Sometimes I'd go back and or I would say, hey, did you see this? And he would go, yeah, that's a great job. You're supposed to do that. Like, I'm not giving you any extra props for doing your job.
That's your job.
Yeah. And so, just all of that, if you live by it, you will die by it. And I just think that there are moments when the Lord says, hey, I see you. I want you to learn to live before an audience of one, so that all of the accolades, all the likes, all of the significance, how many people have bought in your book and it's a bestseller or this or that, you can throw all of that to the side and not have to live and die by it. You can live before an audience of one. If all of that stuff happens, it's great, but you don't need it. Mm-hmm. That's the question. Do I need it?
Mm-hmm. Do you guys remember?
That's good.
Your kids, they'll go and do something and they constantly look back to see if you're watching. Yeah. That's like what you're talking about, you know, and they're looking, they're like, did you see that? Did you see that? You know, and they constantly are like making sure you're watching. Mom, dad. You know, that's in them. Nobody told them to do that.
Yeah.
Nobody taught them to do that, but that's in them. And I see that God's like, yeah, I put that in them so that when they grow up, they put that to me.
Yeah.
They look to me.
Yeah.
And they go, did you see that, God? Did you see that? You know,
He never misses.
and he never misses. His eye is always on the sparrow, is, you know, what the scripture says.
Wow.
And so you know, I love that he sees us. There's this movie, your sister Kimberly always talks about this phrase that they say, and in the movie they say their greeting is "I see you," and then you greet back with "I see you." You know, so that's their greeting to one another. And you know what? What if we could adopt that as our greeting to the Lord? I see you.
Yeah.
You know.
Our oldest we were just having a conversation about relationships today at lunch, and we were talking about things of love and that sort of thing. And she's like, you know, the one simple phrase that I've read and just never forgot is that to love means to be seen or to see someone, basically. So I don't know.
That's good.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So, you know, thinking about, you know, God seeing us, and he never not sees us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's also important to say, because here when Adam and Eve were in the garden and they sinned and their eyes were open,
Right.
you know, they got to see differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when they saw differently, they recognized a deficiency, what they perceived to be a deficiency.
Yeah.
And then they tried to solve the problem themselves. Sewed fig leaves to get, or, you know, tried to cover themselves, hid. Remember, God comes and is like, you know, they, let's hide. Tried to solve the problem because they were, you know, because they knew that that was a part of who he was.
Yeah.
He would see them as if they could hide from him.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Do you remember any kid who, you know, you probably were all like this. You made a mistake, you'd go and hide.
Yes.
As a kid.
Someplace really obvious, usually too.
Right. Or you put a blanket over you and you don't think that they can see you.
Yes.
You think you're invisible because the blanket's over you. Nothing.
That's good.
No one is not seen by God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good.
How did that feel? How does that feel when we embrace that truth, that we are seen by him and seen by him first? It doesn't mean that other people aren't going to see us.
Yeah.
But like you guys have said, we don't live and die by that, but we are just knowing that we're seen no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
And that we're loved.
It's a confidence.
Yeah.
But that transfer comes out to other people to where we can now see others.
Yeah.
And they know that they're loved because we can see them and recognize them as a human being and, you know, do that transfer.
I love that. Matthew 6, Sermon on the Mount. Jesus is training his disciples, and he says, take care not to practice your righteousness in the sight of people, nor be noticed by them. Otherwise, you have your reward. Or you have no reward, he says, with your Father in heaven. So watch out needing to be seen by people. And this kind of goes to exactly what you're talking about. You have your reward with your Father in heaven if you're not seen by people, meaning he doesn't miss a thing.
Right.
He sees it all. And when it seems like you're not seen by men, you are seen by God. The other thing that I'm hearing you guys say is God uses us to see people. And that's super fun, isn't it? When you get to partner with God and say to somebody, whether you say these words or not, I see you, you are noticing who they are.
Yeah.
I love to do that. I love to do that in our environment. Sort of fathering is, to me, fathering and mothering is seeing and elevating people and getting a moment to have them. I did that to Owen a couple Sundays ago and just wanted to let him know, dude, you got 10 minutes, but I see what you're carrying. And it's amazing. And so just having moments to do that can change a life. One, I see you, can change a life. There are times when that happens and we all love it. Those are the high fives. And then there are moments when it seems like God has shut that down for a season and you're not getting recognized or noticed by anyone.
Right.
And he's like, hey, all those high fives are meant to lead you back to me. And so make sure that you live also in community, but you know how to live before an audience of one. Yeah. Thanks, you guys, for joining us. Super excited about this topic. We're praying that you both live in community, that you are seen by God, and that you are like the eyes of God, Elroy, the God who sees, and you get to see other people the way that he's created them, and then also to bless them for being seen by God. It's so fun to partner with him. Thanks for joining us for this message again. The full message link is in the show notes. You can go to our website and look at anything else that we have to offer there. Make sure to support us while you're there. We love putting out these messages that shape the future. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Inside the Ark. We hope that you've been blessed by this program. If you'd like to discover other episodes of Inside the Ark, please visit eaglemountain.global. We'd also love for you to prayerfully consider supporting this and other programs available on Eagle Mountain TV. You can give to this ministry by visiting eaglemountain.global and clicking on the Give tab. We hope to see you in the next episode.